Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video. So I'm really excited about this one because it's another YouTube artist collective theme, which we do every 2 months. And so this theme was Grimm's Fairy Tales. And I've got a link in the description to all of the other members' channels if you want to check them out and watch their videos. I really recommend you do because they're all amazing. And so whilst I'm creating my piece, I'm going to be talking through 5 phrases that most artists absolutely hate to hear. So before I talk about that, the piece that I'm doing is based on Little Red Riding Hood, or as it's known in the Grimm's Fairy Tales as Little Redcap, and I really like this story, so that's what my piece is based on, and we've all done sort of different stories, so I really recommend checking out theirs. But let's get straight on to today's art topic, which is phrases that most artists hate to hear. And there are so many of them, but I'm going to pick my top 5. And I'm going to start with probably the most annoying one. And if you have a well-established following or you've got some sort of following behind you, you'll probably have experienced this in the past. And that is when people comment on your social media posts or your YouTube posts or direct message you, anything like that, and say, "Can you draw me?" When people always ask you to draw them. And I'm not on about when people are asking for commissions and that's like a business inquiry. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when people just comment on your posts or on your like social media or send you direct messages just saying, "Can you draw me? Can you draw me?" And they don't comment anything relevant to the post or the content that you've put up. It's just about them and how they want to get something from you for nothing. And when you decline or say, "No, I can't," they normally get offended. But I don't know why these people seem to think that you have the time to just sit and draw them for nothing. You don't even know them, so why would you just do that? And I think it's quite rude from them. And I think if you have a well-known following, then you'll get this every single day. And it can get so annoying to a point where you just don't respond anymore because I don't know, it takes a certain type of person to think that you would spend hours creating something for them for nothing. Like, why would you do that? And I don't get why they get offended that you wouldn't do that. Comment below, have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced someone saying, "Can you draw me?" And then when you say no, they get offended? Okay, so number 2 is kind of like a group of phrases that all stem from the same sort of idea. And that is phrases like, "Oh, art's just a hobby," or "Why don't you get a real job?" Or, "Oh, so you just sit at home all day and draw and paint? Oh, I wish I didn't have to work like you don't have to." Yeah, stuff like that. And I think people have this kind of misconception about what being an artist actually is. And I speak more about this in my 5 artist myths most people believe video. But yeah, that can get annoying. And I experienced that a lot, especially when I was doing a part-time job as well as this. And when I would tell people that I wanted to try and make it as an artist, they would be like, "That's not really a real job, is it?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, it is." And it can get very irritating because it makes you feel like people don't think you actually work hard and you don't work, when of course you do. Everything's made mostly by artists. All the graphic designs, animations, everything has normally got some sort of artistic influence on it. So I don't understand why people have this thought that art isn't a real job and anything artistic isn't really like a proper job, like say a doctor or a dentist is. But it's a bit bizarre, that one, but it is something that is still very common and I have experienced multiple times. Okay, so number 3 is when people say to you, "Oh, what's the point in doing realism? Can't you just take a photo?" Or, "Oh, what's the point in doing anime? That's not really art, is it?" Or, "Oh, what's the point in doing digital art?" It's the "what's the point" comment that is really irritating, and I think it annoys a lot of artists. No matter what sort of style you have, there seems to be some sort of kind of negative comment about it and why it's not really worthwhile doing it. And I personally haven't really experienced this one myself, but I know a lot of people experience it, and it can get really, really annoying. And I can understand why, because it's kind of like people are basically calling what you do pointless and saying there's no point in what you're doing. And so that is something that I really understand why people hate hearing that, and especially if you hear it multiple times. So number 4 is when people self-promote their art accounts, their drawings and their paintings on your social media posts or YouTube content. And this can be really irritating for artists, especially when the person doesn't even say anything relevant to the content that you've put up, and it's all about promoting themselves. And I just want to tell you that if you do that, that is not the way to go about gaining followers. If anything, it's going to have the kind of adverse effect that you want, because when people see that, even if they're not the content creator, they see that as rude as well, and they're less likely to go and check out your channel or your sort of page because it just looks spammy. So I really recommend not doing that. And I think every artist hates it when they see people like that which just say, oh, check out my drawings, or oh, I've done this, check out mine, and don't say anything about what you've created. So that is the 4th one. And so the 5th and final thing that artists hate to hear is to do with money and selling your artwork. And that is either when people are completely shocked that they even have to pay for you to do a drawing for them, and they'll say things like, oh, I need to pay, or oh, I didn't think I'd have to pay for that. Or also when people are really shocked by how much you charge, and they'll say things like, oh, I've only got like £20, can you do it for that? And they try to like push down your prices and try to make you do it even cheaper and make out like you're charging way too much for what they're asking for. I don't think that ever feels good for an artist to have to hear or deal with. But anyway, guys, those are my 5 phrases that artists hate to hear. I've got loads more, so if you want another video with like more phrases, then let me know. And also, I'd love it if you could comment below, what are your top 3 hated phrases that as an artist you absolutely hate to hear? Or even if you're not an artist, what things do you not like to hear about art? Okay, so let's talk a bit more about the art piece itself. And so the first thing that I did was I used a layer of watercolor to create the sort of base tone for where everything was going to go. And I also used the black ink tints for this. I wanted to keep a fairly restricted color scheme. I only wanted to do it like black and white with a bit of red as well. I didn't want to have too many colors going on. So then once I did that, I went in with some colored pencil and worked on her face. I wanted it to look like it was smooth and have a lot of shadows going on with it. So I rendered that with the colored pencils, and also I then went in and added the colored pencil to the hair to make the hair dark. I was going to initially do it brown, but then I decided that I wanted it to be nice and dark. As well as the background, I wasn't actually going to do a really dark background. I wanted it to be quite light. It completely went different from what I imagined it would be. I wanted to do it all like really light and nice bright colors, and it just looked really sort of pretty. But as I went on, it went into more of a dark kind of style, and I really liked how it turned out. Even if it wasn't what I was imagining, it definitely was a lot different than what I was imagining, but I really loved the results. And it was definitely a nice sort of experimentation with all of these different things. I used a lot of different mediums, and I also never really done a really dark sort of black background before, so it was definitely something new and something that I really enjoyed doing. So one thing to mention is it looks like I'm adding like white gel pen to the piece, but I'm not. I used a dried out sort of white gel pen nib, and what I'm using is actually a mixture of brush and pencil titanium white powder and touch up texture like liquid, and when you mix them together it forms like a white paint, but this mixture is archival on top of colored pencils, so it's not going to chip away like white gel pen would. And so one of the last things that I did was I went in actually with some red pastel pencil, and I just used that to add some red to the background. I wanted the background to look a bit more like clouds. I know it doesn't really look like clouds, but have that sort of effect to it, and I just wanted to incorporate some of the red into the background. But anyway, guys, that's it. Like I said, Check out all of the other YouTube Artists Collective members. Their artwork is beautiful. And if you're new to my channel, then I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, because I do art advice topics, I do tutorials and tip videos and all of that sort of stuff. So I'd love to have you join me here. Oh, also, if you want a print or the original of this, then I have got that available on my Etsy store as well. And there will be a link in the description if you want to check that out. But that is it, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.